Today, we're talking about how does flood zone AE impact a mortgage? So keep watching this video to see how your wallet could be impacted short-term and long-term. Let's get started. But before we do, make sure to click below, subscribe, share, and like this channel if you find the content here valuable, so other people can find it valuable as well. Hi, I'm Chris, the Flood Insurance Guru, and for more than 12 years, I've been helping property owners just like yourself overcome flood insurance issues in flood zone AE. After I bought a house in a flood zone, like flood zone AE, and we're told the premiums were going to be $3,000 when they should have been $300. Today, we're talking about how does flood zone AE impact a mortgage? So first of all, let's talk about what is flood zone AE. If you haven't watched any of our other videos, flood zone AE, also known as a special flood hazard area, the 100-year flood area. Typically, if you're carrying a mortgage and you're in flood zone AE, or you're looking at purchasing a property in flood zone AE, this is where flood insurance is going to be required. So just remember that. Can you get that changed? Potentially through something called a letter of map amendment or a flood zone change. You can click in the description of this video to learn more about what that is. You can also click up here in the corner of the video to also learn more about flood zone changes. But let's talk about flood zone AE and mortgages today, because that is why you're here watching this video. We've already talked about if you're in flood zone AE, it's going to be required if you carry a mortgage. Now, the good news is if you pay that mortgage off, it's no longer going to be required. But what kind of impact can it actually have on your mortgage? Let's just say that the average premium across the country right now is $1,200 a year. And it's not far from that. That's about $100 a month. So imagine this, you're looking at purchasing two houses. One is in flood zone AE and maybe one is in flood zone X where flood insurance is not going to be required. This could be a $100 per month impact on your mortgage payment. In today's economy, inflation, taxes, insurance, everything being really high, interest rates, $100 a month can be a big deal. So you want to think about that when you're purchasing that house, when you're shopping for flood insurance. Take that yearly amount, because flood insurance is done on a yearly amount, divided by 12. And this is going to kind of show you what the impact is going to be on your mortgage every month. You want to make sure that you're staying below $80 to $100 a month if you can. That's the average premium across the country here in 2024. Whether you're looking at the National Flood Insurance Program, you're looking at private flood insurance. You want to think about that. What you also want to think about though, hey, if I move this to another option, and remember, the National Flood Insurance Program, no matter where you go, all those rates should be the same, unless you have an elevation certificate that maybe proves otherwise, or you're taking over someone else's policy that's buying that property. That could be an exception there, but private could range big time from $400 to $4,000. So you do want to take a look at that there. But you just want to think about, hey, how is AE impacting my mortgage today? How is it going to impact it long term? Because look, across the country right now, outside the National Flood Insurance Program, which has statutory rate increases each year of around 18%, with some exceptions. With private, we see some go up 20%, 30%, 40%. So you really want to keep that in mind as you're looking at that every year. You really want to minimize the impact that flood insurance is having on your mortgage by making sure that you're reviewing it, making sure you've got the right replacement cost on there, because the National Flood Insurance Program and private companies use replacement cost as a big rate driver when determining your rates. This means that if your replacement cost is higher than it should be, it can have a big impact on your wallet. Or, distance to water, the type of flooding. If you're in an area that's flood prone to river flooding or coastal flooding, these are all things that could have an impact there. You also, as things come up on your mortgage, you want to look at this every year too, but think about this. Hey, if I do decide to make a switch and it saves me a few $100s a year, what could I do with that extra money? How could I potentially pay a mortgage down? Recently we had a customer that was able to take off 3 years on their mortgage because the amount of money they saved on flood insurance every year. Yeah, it was a significant savings because of the situation they were in. But we do see this every day. Recently we saw where a customer paid off more than $5,000 in credit card debt over the course of a couple of years because of the savings they had found on their flood insurance when reviewing this with flood zone AE and their mortgage. You see, flood zone AE can have a big impact on a mortgage. not just your monthly payment, but long term. You go to sell your property, and flood insurance is going to be required. The people looking at buying your property may buy one down the street because the premiums are so high, or they don't want to buy it where flood insurance is required. So these are just some impacts that can happen when it comes to a mortgage in flood zone AE. Now, if you want to learn more and dive deeper in the flood zone AE, click up here in the corner of our video and we've got our guide, the flood zone AE, for you. You can also click up here in the corner of this video to learn the difference between the National Flood Insurance Program and private, and download that guide in the description. You want to make sure you understand the differences here as you're reviewing these things when it comes to flood zone AE and mortgages. So I want to say thank you for watching today's video on impact flood zone AE can have on mortgages. I'm Chris, the Flood Insurance Guru, and we look forward to helping you in the next video.